Thanks for tuning in.
God damn it, don't you just love it when you press the button for the outro video instead of the intro fucking video?
Hey, it's a short live stream, guys. Thank you for watching.
Yeah,
we will see y'all next time.
Shorter than my Madam Web review. Fuck me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Galactic Cod podcast. First episode in a few weeks due to a bit of illness running around the family and a bit of a fucking no-show last week from my guests, unfortunately. But we're back this week. We're going to have a really chilled, a really cool episode. I'm here with the main man, my brother from another mother, my American chum. Welcome to the show, Brandon from Clan Brand DeLorean.
Everybody, easy now, easy. Don't go. And we're back, man. What is going on, Andy? Thanks for getting this together. You know, like within the a short week, I would say. I feel like last week we were both kind of sick, and it's not fun this time of year when you're sick. You know, I feel like the weather is just a little not too far off here from how it is for you. It seems to be, you know, still just a little bit chilly, but it's starting to warm up a little bit. If I got that right?
Yeah, it's been nice, clear skies recently, but you're definitely a little bit on the chillier side. I'm pretty well known for wearing shorts every fucking day of the year. Like, I very rarely ever wear full length trousers unless I'm dressing up. Even I've donned a few full length jeans in the last week or two. So, but that's also because I bought some new ones, and you got to show them off a little bit, haven't you? So, kind of updated the wardrobe a little bit to make myself look a little bit sharper and a less bit like Jabba the Hutt's younger cousin. So. But just before we jump into it, everyone, you know, if you're not following Galactic Cod Podcast, please jump onto YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all these places. Jump on. We've got a big few months coming up. I've been pretty deep in Marvel for the last couple of months in terms of what I've been watching at home, because I've been watching a lot of MCU films. Captain America dropped a few weeks back, which I did came straight out of the cinema, sat in the coffee shop with my friend and did a live episode reviewing that. Daredevil starts this week coming, which I'm so looking forward to. That's going to be running up the next 7-8 weeks of my life. And then literally that finishes in the week after Andor starts. And Brandon, you're going to be jumping on for the opening episodes of Andor as well. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about that in our subject tonight, but jump on all those places. Make sure you're following, make sure you're subscribed. There's a lot coming up over basically the next sort of 6 months, really. So, as well, Clan Brand DeLorean has just hit 500 followers on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you're absolutely spanking my ass in terms of the amount of people following, which is absolutely fantastic. And you're doing a big giveaway for that as well. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thanks, man. You know, it was the first milestone that I set when I started the channel. I just wanted hitting 100 was cool, but I wanted to, you know, get to 500. You know, sometimes it took a while, and I'm just glad it happened organically. I didn't have to, you know, push certain type of metrics to get to that point.
Buying those followers.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of I don't want to post interviews and, you know, throw some captions on it. I want the Legos, the Funkos, and the lores, the theories to kind of speak for themselves, and I want some cool people, and I feel like that's all we've gotten so far, is just some really cool people. But yeah, we hit 500. Shout out to everybody watching or who's going to watch the replay. It's really cool. Thank you guys so much. You guys are helping me build this channel as well. So yeah, we have a Cassian Andor Funko Pop, actually the newest version of Cassian. He's in his prison outfit, which is a really, you know, iconic scene, I would say.
One way out.
And in case you can't swim, we got Andor. We don't have Andy Serkis's character. So if you can swim, maybe this one will find its way to you. Actually, I got him right here. I'm stupid. Of course, I'm a Funko guy and a Lego guy. So here's the Funko Pop. Beautiful. This will be to somebody, hopefully in the next couple weeks. And then we also, for the Lego side, we have the 501st battle pack right here.
Yeah, I've got that one, to be fair. I didn't really care about the gun. I just wanted the 501st little figures. So they're up on the shelf behind me.
Yes, and it's so cool that you get 4. 2 of them are the heavy troopers. You have 1 officer, which in my opinion is my favorite. I always love the officers of each battalion, and then the specialist with the sniper. So that's cool. But this I actually went out on a limb here and got this. It's a 4X style PC desk mat. So it's Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which in my opinion is probably the second best looking lightsaber. And on the backside it says, "May the Force be with you." So pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, that was cool. Because when I saw your Instagram post for it, I saw the box where it had the lightsaber, and I didn't clock straight away that it was a mouse mat because I didn't read the description. And I went, "Fuck me, he's giving away a lightsaber." I thought, I'm entering this, and I will pay the shipping to the UK.
Right? I know, man. I wish that's actually one of my other goals too, is for a to kind of collab with a lightsaber company. I mean, there's millions of them right now, you know. So that would be really cool. If anyone out there is watching and you need a new person to show off your lightsabers, hit me up because I really want one. I need my first lightsaber.
Nice. And I suppose we might as well mention it. We've both got merch stores now as well, and that you can jump on. You can get your Clan Mandalorian or your Galactic Core podcast stuff. I've got my my t-shirt on.
Still waiting for mine to come in.
Really? You still waiting for? Right, to be fair, I'm still waiting for my wife's hoodie to show up as well.
Nice.
I've got my t-shirts and my hoodies, and I even got the baby onesie, which anyone who sees my Instagram story would have seen it on there. To be fair, but yeah, I'm still. I mean, to be fair, I use the same company that Lee from Lights Camera Rant uses, and obviously we don't control how long it takes them to print the merch or anything like that. So, like, I ordered a hoodie and a hat from them for Lee's podcast. The hoodie came within like a week. The hat took 7 weeks to arrive. But interestingly, when I've ordered my t-shirts and hoodies and stuff from them, they've all come within a couple of weeks. The wife one has been about a month now since I ordered her one. I know it's been quite a while for you as well. So
yeah, it's been.
Don't be afraid to message him and go, "Where the hell's my t-shirt?" It shouldn't take that long.
I did message them, and they said it's still in production.
Yeah,
they just have a high volume right now, which I mean makes sense. We have a lot of changes in the world right now, so.
Although I don't understand when I've ordered stuff together and like a t-shirt and a hoodie, and they send me the hoodie straight away, and then the t-shirt takes longer.
Yeah,
like, it's not coming from the same place. Like, why is it? Why have you done the hoodie but not the t-shirt? So
yeah,
crack on with that, Teespring. Come on. But we're just going to be having a chilled episode today. We're here to discuss a few bits and pieces Star Wars. Like I said, we're going to be covering Andor season 2. We've got a little bit of show and tell to do just because it's a bit fun. And I've got something nice, episode 3 related, to be showing you today, Brandon. Mainly for you. We're just going to hope there's some questions coming in from anyone watching today, and then we're just going to have a little bit of just a random chat, maybe about some what if scenarios. But if we pitted people against each other, who would win? We just want a chilled, relaxed, however long it takes, Star Wars chat on this lovely Sunday. So. Straight away, I can see we've got Star Wars Nerd in the chat. Let's go! Thank you for joining us, buddy.
What up?
So I'm going to throw questions out there if and when they come in from the audience. Hopefully, we'll get a few people stopping by. But straight away, he's in there with favorite prequel movie and why is it Revenge of the Sith? So come on then, Brandon. You're the one who puts this above everything, even non-Star Wars films.
Yes. This is the first movie that called to me. I saw it in theaters. I'm 8 years old. I feel like that's a prime age to where you really understand what you like, and everything about it from start to finish. I used to episode 4, 5, 6, and 1 and 2. Every time I'd pop the VHS in, I'm fast forwarding to the fights. I want to see the lightsaber duels. But with Revenge of the Sith, even with the political aspect, man, I didn't skip none of it. It was amazing. And still to this day, I actually watched it on last Wednesday, and every single time I watch it, there's just something new that I grasp onto, and it gets me every time. I will say I mean, obviously the question is it's the favorite prequel movie. That's I feel like the points I gave, that's why. But I just, yeah, like Andy said, even further into it, that's It's the best movie I've ever seen, man. It doesn't it ages so well. I feel like it will never kind of lose its spark. It's always gonna continue to just live on in all of film. You know, it's the arguably the biggest villain of all time is created uh physically in this. I mean, obviously episode 1 and 2 you see it from the get-go. But I mean, just how everything matters so much in one film, and it's action packed. It's good. It can make you laugh. It can definitely make you cry. Makes you mad. Makes you sad. It's a roller coaster of a movie. That's why it's the best, man.
It is by far the best prequel. I mean, whether you're a fan or not of the prequels, it doesn't really matter. This is the best one out of the 3, regardless. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, Brandon. I've talked about before how back in 1999, I was, like 15, I think. I happened to be on holiday in Florida the same week that The Phantom Menace came out. And so I got to see that in America. And then you had, back in those days, it used to take 3 to 6 months for films to come out in the UK from America. So they get shown in America and then it would be months before they would come across the channel. And so I remember going home and it being like 3 months till it came out, and I wanted to tell all my friends about the film. I had lunch with toys that I bought, and they're like, you tell us anything, we're going to kick your ass. So I'm like, I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone for 3 months. And then Revenge of the Sith, by the time that came out, like 5 years later, I was 6 years later, I was a chef by then. I was really busy. I never actually had time to go and see it in the cinema. That's how busy I was. And so last year, the big cinema over here, or the main cinema chain, is called Odeon. And they basically decided to show every Star Wars film over the course of like 11 weeks. So one film a week for 11 weeks. So I was like, cool. Any Star Wars film I've not been able to see in the cinema yet, which was only Revenge of the Sith and the original trilogy, I got to go and see. So finally last year, after obviously nearly 20 years of it being out, I finally got to see Revenge of the Sith in the cinema.
Yes.
And it was fucking beautiful. I went and saw it twice. Because I was so stoked that I wanted to see it. So it was amazing to finally see it. I know this year, 2025, is 20th anniversary since it came out. I know they announced that they're going to be doing some viewings in the US for the 20th anniversary.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I said to my wife, I was like, I hope they do that over here. And we go get to see it. And she's like, didn't you see it last year? I don't give a fuck. If it's out in the cinema again, I want to go and see it, because it is... I thought for a long time about what my favorite Star Wars film is, or what I think. There's always a difference between what is the best Star Wars film and what is your favorite Star Wars film. I think there's, for me, that, and a lot of people, there is a difference between that, because a lot of people are always going to say, what is the best Star Wars film? Probably Empire Strikes Back. Still rated, I think, in the top 3 or the of like best sci-fi films of all time. I think because of the way that it was set out, it's possibly in the top 10 of the best films of all time across every category.
That's crazy.
Because of how good it is. But I think for a lot of people who grew up with the prequels and were kind of overtaking the older generation of boomers that grew up with the original trilogy, that or the majority of people now, their favorite Star Wars movie, is Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Like you said, for every reason that it's concluding technically a 6-story arc, because we had the original trilogy first and go back to see how it all happened. It's everything. It's Anakin's turn to the dark side. It's Order 66, the rise of the Empire. The beginning, really, even though he planned it for years and had things in motion, the rise of Palpatine in a way, to Darth Sidious anyway, and being in charge of the Empire. I mean, I'm a Sith through and through. I've always said if I had to pick between Jedi and Sith, I am always going to pick Sith, because I would be so easily corrupted. I wouldn't stand a chance of resisting the dark side. There's no fucking way it's going to happen. And furthermore than that, obviously, I've got the Sith Empire symbol tattooed on my wrist. And for those that have seen it anyway, I have on my stomach a tattoo of the Punisher from Marvel done as a Sith Lord with his cape and red lightsaber and stuff. So yeah, I'm a Sith through and through.
Yeah.
But when I watch Order 66, I still get upset every single time at the downfall of the Jedi. we could chat forever, I think, as well about why the Jedi fell and the downfall of them and the arrogance and all that sort of stuff that goes with what happened with the Jedi. But it still fucking kills me every time to see it on screen. So yeah, this is why it's one of the best films. And even though Anakin goes off to Mustafar and he wipes out the Separatist leaders, and he's there fucking shedding tears himself because he's like, shit, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I become? And when you learn all the little bits of information in between, the things that maybe you didn't get to see on screen and things like that, just like we've talked about it before, how when Anakin walks into the council chamber in the Jedi Temple and the kids pop out, and he has a moment where he thinks, fuck, what am I doing? I can't do this. I shouldn't be doing this. And he has a moment where he's about to turn back on everything that he's doing. And then that little fucking shit kid turns around and calls him Master Skywalker, and it just immediately triggers him because he realizes he wasn't made a master by the Jedi Council and kills the fucking kids. So it's like all these little bits of info in between as well, just set it up to make it devastating. And obviously the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end as well, or Vader as he is by then. He's not even really, we keep calling him Anakin at that point. Technically he's Vader at that point. So
yeah.
But yeah, this is why it makes Revenge of the Sith so good.
So good.
It is so good. There's just no. I mean, the only thing I would have liked to see is there's only one thing I would ever change, and I've seen obviously people do edits of it. Is that the Battle of the Heroes, the Battle of Mustafar? Is I would have liked to have seen Anakin with a red lightsaber.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Have you ever felt like that's something that's just missing from that fight, or is it cooler that he's still there with a blue lightsaber?
I just posted a reel with Joey from Krypton to Alderaan, and someone in the comments was like, well, it kind of sucks that the Acolyte did it the way they did, because they meant to do that for Anakin and Revenge of the Sith. But you know me, like once it starts off negative, I want to know why. I want to know like what the battle is here, because I mean, I'm always down for a good argument. But he said because the choreography wouldn't have worked. Could you imagine a red lightsaber with all the orangey red lava behind? I mean, I was like, okay, I can buy that. I can buy that. But at the same time, I don't know. I think it's really cool. Obviously, it didn't happen. But we see how the kyber crystals are bled. There has to be a physical touch to the said crystal, and Anakin's wasn't exposed. So, I mean, it is what it is. But at the same time, would that be badass? Yeah, duh. I think that's something really cool that Dave Filoni had tossed in with the World Between Worlds, Anakin versus Ahsoka, as we finally get that Anakin from Revenge of the Sith with a red lightsaber. Really, really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's something I've always wanted for my collection is the fact that you don't have a pre-Vader or a pre-suited Vader. So Anakin, before he gets dismembered, so to speak, with a red lightsaber. And it would always be sort of perfect to see that, because I've got a lot of like the vintage collection up here of all the Anakins and Vaders from all the different films that they were in. I think I'm only missing 3 now to complete the entire set of every Anakin and Vader that was released. They did recently release the World Between Worlds Anakin from the Ahsoka series, but gave him the blue lightsaber, and I was like, damn. The only one I've got of Anakin with a red lightsaber is they released the Pop Funko of Anakin from the World Between Worlds from Ahsoka, and they released him with the red lightsaber.
Yes.
So I did finally get him, but it's in Pop Funko form.
Yeah.
Because even the original Anakin, Episode 3 Anakin they did, which I have one sitting on my desk at all times.
I still need that one.
With the Sith eyes, they gave him the blue saber, obviously, because it's screen accurate. Yeah, so I do finally have an Anakin with a red lightsaber, but it is in Funko form. And I kind of just need it in normal figure form rather than a Pop Funko. But I just think he looks badass as like a pre-suited Vader with a red lightsaber. It would just be absolutely killing it.
Man. Also too, I wanted to mention that I remember the day you told me about the youngling situation with Anakin, how they called him master, and it kind of just re-triggered him. I think for the rest of that day, we did an earlier recording for that. I think it was around like noon my time. And for the rest of the day, I just thought about that. I was just like, man, what the fuck? This sucks. Like It makes you feel some type of way, but that's why I always used to say, you know, I love every single chance we get to talk, because I feel like I always learn something new, especially since I don't read books. I mean, and that the extended lore always helps, especially as a fan. Kind of gives you more of a different insight on these films and series.
It's just, I think the emotion that Star Wars evokes, because I get lost sometimes in just the pure emotion of it, because I'm quite an emotional person. I react emotionally to a lot of things, and just the way that it reacts, and like a lot of my friends aren't necessarily anywhere near as deep in Star Wars as I am. Like friends at work and stuff like that who call themselves nerds, but they're not really on. They're not on the deep end of being a nerd anyway. I think I can probably. It's fair to say, obviously, I'm off the deep end when it comes to being a nerd with Star Wars, and a lot of them like they know Star Wars and they know a decent amount of it, but they're not like in the deep end of it. They're not emotionally affected by it. Because I think I remember her after, because Carrie Fisher, when she passed away on my birthday. So it kind of sucks every year that when it hits my birthday, I don't really celebrate my birthday because it's at a crap time of year. It's 27th of December. There's not really a lot to do at that time anyway. But then obviously I'm always reminded that Carrie Fisher passed away. And I think I remember like a couple of days after when she genuinely probably passed away, that I was watching. I like going on YouTube and watching, like, say, like the Skywalker Saga tribute videos done by fans. So anything from a couple of minutes up to like 10-minute long. It's just like they've edited loads of clips together. It's amazing. And there was just this one where it was just going through, and then it just got sort of. It was quite a well done emotional video anyway, and then it got to this point where it just sort of the music crescendoed and it just cut to Princess to Leia from, I think it was maybe The Force Awakens, where she's like wearing the blue dress and she's just like, "May the Force be with you," and I just started crying. So I'm just like, "Fuck." And I'm not one to cry much at stuff, but then again, when James Earl Jones passed away, I remember walking in and telling my wife, and all of a sudden I just felt myself welling up for absolutely no reason about it, and I'm just like, shit, I'm just emotional because like the impact that Star Wars has on you, and that these individuals, these people who are just, they're us, they're people at the end of the day. They're voice actors and just normal actors and actresses that have gone out and created iconic roles for us. And you forget sometimes the impact it has, because I'm on the way to work sometimes in a bad mood, and I'm like, I'm just going to put some Star Wars music on in my headphones and get myself G'd up, ready for work. And the emotional effect that music has to G myself up, I don't find that with any other type of music, to be honest. I can throw on my R&B and hip hop that I normally listen to, or my like early 2000s dance music from when I was like fucking 20 years old and used to go out like getting pissed up and stuff, and get all G'd up to that. But at the end of the day, like the emotional response I get from Star Wars music, if I want to either be G'd up or if I'm in a bad mood or something, that nothing quite has the response like that.
Yeah, I get that, dude. It's so weird, and it's kind of like, man, I mean, they say Star Wars is made for children. Cool. I like that. You know, it is what it is. Shit, I love Star Wars as a child. So, I mean, obviously growing up and being able to understand the stories more, it's awesome. You know, when you get older, you understand a lot more. But, dude, there was one day I remember I dropped my little brother off at school, and like I was driving back home. It's like 7:30 in the morning. And, on my Spotify playlist, the Book of Boba Fett theme came on. And in my car, the speakers, it sounded really good, right? And I was just like, oh, okay, like this is different from hearing it on the sound bar, you know, like when I was watching it, and you know, all the times I've rewatched it. And I'm just like, dude, this hits, man. Like I started feeling like kind of heavy in the chest, like, man, this is just like really good. Just even the like the key notes, because you know, there's just like minor vocals. There's no like lyrics or anything, of course, in Star Wars. Shit, even the Power of Two by Victoria Monet, I think, or Veronica Monet. I mean, I remember everyone was clowning that at the end of like Acolyte episode 4 or 5, because that was the end credit music. But I remember once the first like hum came on, I was like, whoa, this is a huge like thing for Star Wars, you know, like there's never been a you know, we either get a really sad score, you know, like kind of after the episode of when Grogu got taken away by Moff Gideon, like that was a really sad music at the end, but But this, you know, we understand, we start to get the like first couple acts for Osha and May and how they were created, and you know the power they have together, whatever. But man, once that song came on, I'm like, you know, I mean, it's different. This isn't your typical Star Wars, but I think the song sounds really cool, and it has a cool dynamic even outside of Star Wars. But you know, it's just the music. I mean, even right now, I'm kind of getting the, you know, chills a little bit. But I'm such a huge music guy, so I mean, Star Wars. I love Star Wars, so I mean, the two together, it's gonna hit on different levels. You wouldn't think?
Yeah. It definitely does, doesn't it? I mean, we can also thank John Williams for that, isn't it? Just the absolute fire that he's produced for this saga has been unbelievable.
Yes.
Something you said there that I want to chat quickly about before we move on to maybe a bit of show and tell. You said Star Wars is for kids. This is something I have long debated with people. I don't think we've ever necessarily got into it. I don't believe for a minute that Star Wars has ever been written for kids. Maybe Young Tales of the Jedi, you can say, is for the kids.
Oh yeah.
It's because it's literally is a kids show. To be fair, apart from that, there is not a single show that I believe you can exclusively say, or any of the TV series or any of the films that you can say this is for kids, because the themes in it are far too adult. And look me in the eyes and tell me that the Clone Wars TV show is for kids.
Yeah, people getting beheaded left and right. I mean, dude, the fact that Asajj Ventress kills a clone and gives him a little smooch on the cheek,
that is a bit
little
heavy.
sexy. Yeah. And also too, just to throw out that, I mean, for me personally, cool. If it's if I'm watching the Backyardigans, I mean, they say it's for kids. I mean, dude, if I fucking like it, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna like it. But I absolutely get your argument. And plus too, like, you think, you know, I know George Lucas had some, you know, switch up in writing, but I mean, in the first episode of, you know, I mean, A New Hope leading into Empire Strikes Back, we have
10 minutes, man. He snapped someone's neck.
Yeah, we have that. We have, you know, a brother and sister kissing. That's, I mean, I don't think any of those topics should be targeted for children. I mean, it is what it is. I agree with you though. That's kind of my when people want to argue about Star Wars, it's just like, we do understand that this is all entertainment, right? And you don't have to like it. But yeah, like little things like that, I absolutely love talking about how, you know, like, for instance, is it for kids? I mean, yeah, no, not at all. The Clone Wars is just all you have to say is the Clone Wars, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, never mind.
I mean, the death, the political themes, everything about the Clone Wars is not really for kids. The original trilogy, George Lucas going, well, Star Wars is for kids. I'm sorry, but it's not. You can come out and say that, but it doesn't make it true. It's like where you fall on the fact of, like, people saying, is Rey a Skywalker? It doesn't really matter what you think, it's what's written. So
yeah, she's a Skywalker, man.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I hate the idea of Rey technically being a Skywalker. She's a Skywalker in name and legacy, perhaps, but not in blood, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I don't get to decide what the fuck is canon, and I'm sorry, but I feel the same way about Star Wars being for kids. It's not for kids. It's not written for kids. The themes throughout all of Star Wars are too mature. There's too much goes on. There is too much brutality as well to call it a kids series or a kids show or a kids film.
For sure.
You can maybe push out Star Wars Resistance and say that's a kids show. I've barely watched any of it. In fact, it's probably one of the only canon things I've not watched fully.
Same.
I've watched parts of it and gone, this for me is too much for me to watch, in terms of, like, too boring and just not engaging enough. Whilst it is introducing sequel characters a bit early, like Poe and BB-8 and Phasma and stuff like that. But at the same point, yeah, it's just like, yeah, we said A New Hope. People walk in and the first thing that happens is stormtroopers and rebels get shot and killed straight away. Then Vader walking in like a big black dildo, and people are like, what the fuck is this? And then he picks up an officer by his neck and crushes his throat. You're telling me that's a kid? That's for kids? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always going to dispute the fact that Star Wars is not for kids. You can introduce kids to it; it's absolutely fine. I love on TikTok when people are showing kids Star Wars for the first time, and especially when you get to the "I am your father" scene in Empire Strikes Back and watching the kids' reactions. I love that shit. I can't wait for us, Brandon, to get to do that with our kids. Yeah, she's watched Star Wars already, but she's not aware that she's fucking watched Star Wars because she's only 7 months old. She's not going to have a fucking clue. She barely knows when I walk in a room half the time, so she's not going to know the nuances of the Force. She's going to get taught that. My apprentice will be taught. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, joking aside. Yeah, Star Wars is not for kids. There's too much adult shit that goes on there, and I would always point out Clone Wars as being the deciding factor for me. It goes, tell me that's a kids show with all that death and everything that goes on in there, which, by the way, produced the greatest clone that there ever is in Fives. I'm not going to argue that. I don't care if you like Cody or Rex or anyone else. Fives the greatest clone soldier to ever live, and one of the saddest deaths in all of Star Wars. Along with the fucking music again, man. Like, I don't know if you ever actually listened to it, but it's the same. They actually use the same bit of music from when Master Pleel dies. When he's off on that mission at the Citadel, the same episodes where Echo dies. And he gets mauled by the dog and dies in Ahsoka's arms. The same one with Tarkin in it. It's the exact same music they use from his death they use for Five's deaths, but you only really notice it in Five's death scenes. And I've got it on my fucking Spotify playlist, and I have to skip it if it comes on in the mornings because I can't start off the day that depressed.
Yeah, right.
I can't.
I've never noticed that. Yeah.
We've got Star Wars Order. Sorry, I'm late. Never too late, man.
Yeah, man.
A wizard never is late. It arrives just when he means to. Not that I'm crossing over franchises by saying that, but he says, I was 4 when I watched Revenge of the Sith the first time. It is for kids. Yeah, because Anakin's slaughtering a bunch of kids when you're 4 years old. I suppose you don't see it on screen, so maybe you don't interpret it like that when you're 4. But you do get to see him wipe out the Separatist leaders pretty brutally.
Yeah.
And then, he has his limbs chopped off. So it's all good. And then you see Padme dying in childbirth, and you're like, why did that woman die?
Yeah, that's not those suck. Speaking of when he slaughters the Separatist leaders, obviously he's going like one by one. But I think the coolest thing is that last battle droid. We know battle droids, it's the intensity of going back and forth from all the ones that could maybe defend themselves, but none of them are getting out of this, clearly. But the fact when Anakin flips the lightsaber back and just, oh my God, just hits him with a block and it goes right back to the battle droid. Like, dude, fuck. It's so good. And that goes even back to Nerd's question at the beginning. Like, amazing. This is why it's the best. It's the little things. So good.
So, I mean, just to conclude then, it's not exclusively for kids. It's not exclusive for adults. Star Wars is for all ages. It does cover a lot of things. I was just refuting the statement of, like, whether it's George Lucas or whether it's anyone else saying Star Wars is for kids. It is partly for kids and it's partly for adults. It's not exclusively for any particular range of people, but I just dispute the fact that it was made exclusively with kids in mind. I can't think that's true. So Star Wars, she died of sadness, not all that her lung was collapsed from being choked with a Mies Force at all. I have a theory about this, actually. I can't remember if I've talked to you about this, Brandon. I might have done. But there's the symmetry in Revenge of the Sith between the scenes where Anakin's having the suit fitted to him for the first time, and Leia's giving birth and losing the will to live through the Force. So there is a symmetry that basically, as she falls off and dies, Anakin rises up. And Palpatine says to him that Padme died. But how would he know that? Because he's on Coruscant with Vader having the suit fitted, and she's off on a ship somewhere with Kenobi and Yoda, and he doesn't know that. So how could he possibly know that she died? I have a theory that Palpatine was using the dark side of the Force to drain the life force out of Padme and funnel it into Anakin to help him survive because he was on the verge of dying through all of his injuries and through having the suit fitted. And by doing that, the symmetry of of Padme falling and Anakin rising happens, and that's how Palpatine also then knows that Padme died, because he sucked the life force out of her and funneled it into Anakin to help him survive the process, and that's why she dies at the same time that he rises to become Vader.
Wow. Well, that was a great stream, everybody. What? Dude, I have never, ever thought of that.
Now you go back and watch that scene in Revenge of the Sith and think about that as it's happening.
Wow. That's nutty, dude.
I've always believed that, because how else would Palpatine know that she died? He's got no fucking clue. The Republic haven't been told yet. It's only just happened. Like, she died as like, it's because it's done simultaneously on the screen. The bit where she's like, she's fading, and she's like, they're still good in him. I know it, and she passes that and away and dies. And then at the same point, Anakin then has his helmet fitted and rises up on the table to officially become the Vader that we all know. And so my theory is, Palpatine sucks the life force out of her and gives it to Anakin. And that's how he knows in that moment that she died. And the symmetry anyway is beautiful in terms of like the cinematography that they do that, the music, and obviously you see, I'm sure everyone knows by now, that when you see Anakin on the table getting fitted with the suit, all the lights on the floor underneath look like the Empire symbol, and so it just signifies the rise of the Empire here. But that's my theory on that. Next time you watch Revenge of the Sith, think about that during that scene, and then come back to me and tell me whether it fits in there.
Dude, that's just still so crazy to think about. I've always heard the theory too with Padme obviously holding Luke and Leia. There's already so much force, strength, and obviously the midichlorians that the twins themselves carry can enhance Padme only because she is carrying them. I don't know how the force works in that sense, since she's carrying them through pregnancy. But at the same time, I've always thought, since once she passed the children, that was what was keeping her alive during those moments, was just merely the kids. So once she birthed them, she had nothing left. Also, too, I believe there is such thing as, losing the will to live. That's what the robot says, the droid. I feel like it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, well, I mean, she's dying. That's just what's happening. It could be, just how, it happens, sometimes during childbirth.
There is also a real life thing called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, which is called broken heart syndrome. So when your partner or your long-term partner, whatever, dies in real life, it can weaken your heart muscle to the point where your heart can no longer carry on functioning properly, and it's too weak to pump the blood around, and you pass away yourself. So technically there is a real life thing that, if you have broken heart syndrome, that she faded because she suffered from Anakin turning to the dark side and all the things that he then did.
Yeah, and it makes it even more heavy too with that sense, because you try to figure out what's going on with Padme, because it kind of seems like she went out easy. Obviously she got choked, and she kind of like passed out. C-3PO obviously got her back onto her ship, and it's just like, where do we go from here? And I mean, we've seen Revenge of the Sith a million times, but it's still sometimes just like, well, why? And I mean, that makes sense. Your theory makes sense, in my opinion. It really does. And I'm not saying that because we're buds and shit, but like, it makes sense. And I'm always cool for a damn theory. I mean, that's what I love to talk about, even on my channel. And I just think that's a really good one. And it's, for me, just like Palpatine, coming back in Rise of Skywalker, somehow Palpatine returned. If anyone's coming back, it's Palpatine. It's like people forget how Palpatine is. And for him to swing something like this, it makes all the sense, and obviously he was close with Padme during all of the political aspects. So I mean, that's a very interesting thing in itself. So god damn, dude, it's got the wheels are turning right now. That's crazy.
We've got Cole Cohen says lost the will to live, the Dre says, which is absolutely true. We just assume that obviously, everything that she learned that Anakin did, it basically destroyed her and she no longer could go on, even if she could still feel the good in him. It just destroyed her too much beyond being able to give birth. So love from Scotland, boys. Good to see a fellow Brit in the house.
Hey,
nice.
Thanks for coming in.
And then Kenobi's Corner. Hello there, Brandon. Thank you so much for your help. I don't know what you two have been doing off screen, but nothing nefarious, I hope.
Kenobi's Corner indeed asked me how to get jacked and look like Dwayne the Child Johnson. No, I'm just joking. Actually, he reached out to me. He happened to chime in on After Dark, the first episode that we did, and shout out to him. But at the same time, he was wondering how he was able to get a podcast playlist on his YouTube channel for his channel. So, no problem, man. I send videos and try to help people. That's all I did.
Indeed. Let's do a bit of show and tell. So I know we've got a couple of things lined up. So I've got technically two things. So I'll do one, then you can jump in and show, and then I'll do the second bits I've got. So the first bit I've got is an exclusive Black Series figure that they've released during Star Wars Celebration 2023. Obviously, that was held in the UK. It's the one I got to go to. You had to go to the Hasbro stand and pick up a special QR code, and then go onto the Hasbro Pulse website and order it with that QR code later on that day when it got released. So you know what the original title for Return of the Jedi film was, yeah?
Revenge of the Jedi, correct?
So they released a special Revenge of the Jedi Darth Vader Black Series figure. So first and foremost, that's the box.
Dude, that's so dope. Goddamn.
And then the figure itself inside is like a red tinted Vader.
Yes, that is amazing. And that's his lightsaber to the left, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, nice. Damn.
So the handle is sort of painted basically like the figure in like the red and black. So it's obviously I've never taken this out of the box. So I've always for the most part, the vintage collection stuff I've got behind me, which you've seen before, is stuff I do keep in its packaging and stuff. The Black Series stuff, I tend for the most part I tend to take my figures out their boxes because I want to display them. I'm not a keep it mint in box kind of guy, to be fair, for the most part. But yeah, I thought this was pretty damn cool, and the fact that it was obviously you can still buy it now. Like a lot of sites ended up getting it afterwards, so it is available to order. But yeah, it's the fact that it came with that beautiful, let me get the fucking card back in there. Sorry, bastard. Yeah, the fact that it came with that lovely bit of card as well.
So good.
And then the back of it with a bit of a story of Revenge of the Jedi on there as well.
You know, are you cool with obviously it being Return of the Jedi now, or would you have wished it stayed Revenge of the Jedi?
I think Revenge of the Jedi is a cooler name, but at the same point, like the whole point was technically once you sort of start writing the lore of Star Wars a bit more, as George Lucas did during these things, revenge is not the Jedi way.
Yes,
as Vader once says to Ahsoka. So I think it's maybe a better title was changing it to Return of the Jedi, because essentially they were thinking the Jedi had been pretty much wiped out by that stage, because there was a dying Yoda, and Luke wasn't really quite a Jedi yet. So Return of the Jedi seems a more appropriate title. I suspect there. So in the chat, we've got ITT saying, hello, welcome. Oh, Lando the cat has also appeared. Brilliant.
Boom, he is here. What's up, ITT?
And he also said, Jedi don't seek revenge. So yeah, that's again falls in line with the fact that it's a cool ass name, and I'm glad that maybe they started off like that, but it's probably better that they did switch it back around. We've also got Crafting on Ilum in the comments as well.
What up?
Been a guest on both of our shows, so welcome. Yes. Love the figure. Yeah, it was a cool figure. It was cool to get it as an exclusive before sort of everyone else got it. So
yes.
And then Cole saying a very justified change for me there in terms of the name. So yeah, I think it was justified, to be fair. But yes, I do absolutely love that figure. What have you got, Brandon?
Who, man, I am in this current stage of manifesting that the Mandalorian and Grogu film, despite if Embo's coming back, Rada the Hutt, I don't know what's going on, and maybe some things will change. But with that being said, I do not care what goes on. This is going to be the biggest movie since Force Awakens. I think it's going to do better than Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. Not with how those films are received by most fans, but I think just because, I mean, The Force Awakens, the numbers, absolute numbers. And I think that this is the quote unquote bounce back. I think that this is going to be insane because of Grogu. Grogu is the face of Star Wars. And I think Kathleen Kennedy's recent remarks saying that they're focusing on everything in the Mandoverse is what their main focus is. I love that for Star Wars. So right here, the N1 Starfighter. I mean, it is beautiful. Lego set.
Oh, yes, baby.
This thing is, I gotta, go around. This is, oh, good Lord. This set, I didn't have it in my hometown, and I actually was able to find it in Kansas City, but I almost didn't get this in Kansas City. I almost had to go to Minnesota, which is 4 states away, up close to Canada, to get this set. And this is, man, it's big. It's a really good set. Size wise is beautiful. It comes with a Mandalorian, Grogu, of course. Comes with a BD droid and then Pelimoto. So you get all of that, and it's just a dope set. And then I actually had my my friend Colson had his cousin 3D print me some stands. So now we can have it assembled in flight mode, because if you have this set and you're a Lego collector, you know that this set is taking up lots of flat space on your collection. So this makes it, all that much better. And yeah, man, this is a fucking awesome Lego, man. One of my favorites.
It was one of the big. So I'm not much of a Lego collector, but I love looking at some of the Lego, and my other half loves building Lego. So we have long debated some Star Wars bits about whether we would get it, like the Venator, for example, if we could ever afford it, because it's not exactly cheap. And if we had a place to put it, it's one of the ones we get. But the N1 Starfighter was one of the ones I looked at when I was looking at things I would want to add to the collection behind me, going, oh, is that something I'd get? Yes. So I went back and forth between the Lego version or the vintage collection version, which is obviously going to be a clean, like, build version. So yeah, definitely. Oh, beautiful though. Is a bit of Lego there.
It's very nice, and I love how they keep in some of the yellow tile pieces just to kind of represent the Phantom Menace Naboo starfighters. So really cool, really cool.
Cole saying, Lego is savage. I have like 3 sets and not got round to for like 2 years. Another of them is a big Falcon as well. Yeah, the Lego Falcon is going to be massive. So yeah, I always debated like getting a Star Destroyer or one of the AT-ATs, or like I said, the Venator. I think is something we've long wanted, but I just don't have room for it, unfortunately. I'm having to do a big rejig, or in the offing, I've got a big rejig going on of the collection behind me, simply because I've got other bits to fit in. I've got like a drawer full of stuff that I've ordered over the last 6 months that I've not rearranged to fit any of it in. I've got more stuff on the way. We've got I've got the Stranger helmet arrived from the Acolyte arriving in July. I've got to fit that in somehow.
I was telling my wife, I was like, when we're at GameStop yesterday, I'm like, Andy can't be the only one that has this. I have to buy it with him, So this summer I will be grabbing it as well.
Well, they've just announced as well that they're going to be doing a 501st Clone Trooper Black Series helmet.
Yes.
So obviously I'm going to be getting that because the 501st are my boys. So so I thought, oh, okay, I've got 6 helmets right now. I've got a 7th on the way with the Stranger. And I thought, okay, I can, and I was working in my head, I've got to rearrange a few bits to be able to fit it in. And I was like, cool, I can do that. And now with the other fucking helmet, with the 501st helmet coming as well, I'm going to be like, shit, I'm going to have to rearrange it again.
You'll have to start wearing them like every day. Just to have to keep them off the shelf.
No more snapbacks. It's just going to be Black Series helmets. I was just interested when you said about, obviously, yes, I agree with you 100% that the Mandalorian, the Grogu film, is going to do numbers. Star Wars, since it came back in 2015, has always done numbers. Maybe not Solo, because why would that piece of shit have anything over the top few bits? In fact, in the highest grossing Star Wars films, Solo is the second lowest in terms of numbers worldwide grossing that it did. Literally, the Clone Wars animated film is bottom of the list for the amount of money that it took, and then Solo comes in second bottom. So that just, but the sequel trilogy and Rogue One do hit the top 4 for the highest grossing Star Wars film. So Rogue One did 1,058 million worldwide. Third on the list is Rise of Skywalker Episode 9 that did 1,075 million. The Last Jedi did 1,333 million, and The Force Awakens did 2,069 million grossing worldwide. Because obviously it had been 10 years at that point since we had a Star Wars film. We never thought we were going to get a Star Wars film ever again, and then Disney stepped in and saved the franchise. Excuse me. And yeah, when that hit the cinemas, I always knew that was top of the list. But
dude, I think that was some of the craziest shit. 2015 finally comes around. I came back home from college my first year and got with some friends. We went to the cinema. Dude, we were at the AMC theater, and it's located in the mall in my hometown. And all the way down the mall wall, all the way down, and I mean, this is when you're in like the long hallway, mall, and all the way down to Famous Footwear, just all of us lined up. I remember one of my friends had like 2 McChickens, a McDouble stuffed in his hoodie, and this is back when the movies are still just popping. Dude, we were going in there ready for like an absolute just banger. And I still hear in my head when Rey looks at Finn and is like, "Oh, we're not getting in that piece of junk." And it just, they keep running, and like 2 seconds later, the camera pans over and it's the Falcon. Everyone screamed so loud. It's like when you're in that when you're at like a loud movie or in a loud car that has bass and you feel it in your chest, the screams from everyone. I remember that so well. So yeah, I'm not surprised with Force Awakens being the top of that list with Disney Star Wars. It's not even close. I know
not close. It's not close at all. I mean, you could probably fit, I think, the bottom 3 or 4 grossing movies on that list into the gap between Force Awakens and Last Jedi for the amount that they gross at the cinema.
Yeah.
It was like 700 or 800 million between them. So
insane.
Yeah. Last on my show and tell then. So as I mentioned, you can see up here I've got a bunch of vintage collection Anakins and Vaders. I think I'm missing 3 now. Which is, I think, I'm missing. Strangely, I'm missing New Hope Vader. I thought I had that. It's a pretty simple one to get. I should have had that one by now. Then there's 2 different ones for Episode 6 that I'm missing. There's the standard one that they released, and there's one that's called the Lost Line, which they released like 6 figures for the Lost Line. And one of them was Vader being electrocuted. He's got like this lightning stuff around him. I used to have all of them, and we've talked about Brandon. Anyone that knows me. When I got into collecting originally, I went in heavy. I went in so heavy it became too much of an obsession. I decided to quit and pretty much sell my collection almost in its entirety. A bit more restrained these days and what I get. But I had like every single Anakin and Vader vintage collection at the time, including Episode 3 Anakin. There are 2 different versions. There's the standard version, and then there's the variant version, where the only actual difference, to be fair, is that the figure itself has the yellow Sith eyes, and the name on the card back is changed to Darth Vader. So it's a pre-suit Vader. Again, when I sold Yeah, these were cheapish back in the day when I got them, and when I sold them, obviously sold them for about the same price that I got them. And then when Hayden Christensen came back onto the scene and started going to the Comic Cons and the conventions again, they shot up in price so much. I have to always convert in my head from pounds to dollars for you guys, because obviously I have mostly an American audience. So originally when I bought them, they were like 30 or 40 quid. So we're talking probably about $35-40. I sold them for about the same sort of price, and they jumped up. So they were, especially the Darth Vader variant, you were looking at about $180-190 for it. Because it shot up in price. People were obviously selling at higher price because people wanted it to take to conventions for him to sign and stuff like that. So last month, we've got a site over here, which is it's kind of like a newer eBay, if you like, but it's called Vinted. People started off selling just like used clothes and stuff on there, and it's gone off, and it's people sell loads of stuff on there, like electronics, loads of other bits and pieces. So it's become like a bit like eBay now. And I hunt for a few things in there. I found a Darth Revan lightsaber on there, which I got for dirt cheap, and it's perfectly fine. There's other bits and pieces. The Death Watch Black Series Mandalorian helmet I got off there as well for dirt cheap. So sometimes you can find some real bargains on there. I found both these figures on there for like $50 each last month, and so well below the price that they're going for. And so I was so happy to finally get them back in my collection, because I thought, given the price that they are, I wasn't really going to get these back again. Excuse me. So that's the. Oh, if I can get out the light. So that's the first one. So that's the Anakin Skywalker one.
The card stock, just the image that they chose to put on there, dude. God damn, I love that. That is a heater.
So if I can get closer to without being in the fucking light, I can now see it. So yeah.
Everybody in the chat, just stare at this and take it all in. It's amazing.
And then we have the...
Man, I love that one.
So it's literally almost exactly the same, except it now says Darth Vader in the name bit. And if you actually look at the figure itself, in like if you get up close to it, the eyes are yellow for Sith eyes.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
So the fact I never thought I was really going to have these again, and I managed to get them a lot cheaper than they actually go for nowadays through this site.
It's even better.
Just need to get the protective cases that I have for all the others, and then those will be rejoining up there in the collection again. I'm so happy to get those. And you've seen some of mine as well. You've seen I've got a custom Vader up there and stuff like that I did for Rogue One. So before they ever released a Rogue One version of Vader in the vintage collection, I had my own one made and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm super excited that those get to join up there now. So
yes, I remember that custom Vader. That oh my god, dude, insane.
Because I thought about showing I've got the Sith and Jedi holocrons up here from Galaxy's Edge.
Yes.
I was thinking about doing that for show and tell, because I've got a bunch of crystals up here. I've got like a red one, a purple one, a white one, and a green one. I think I'm missing the yellow and blue one from that set now. I was thinking about bringing those up and putting some of the crystals in and just doing some of the voices that come out of them and stuff. Because if you put some of the Jedi crystal into the Sith holocron, it gives you a different like voice and stuff like that. So I think I put the because the red one I've got, the red crystal was Darth Vader.
Nice.
If you put the Darth Vader crystal into the Jedi holocron, Sidious comes out and stuff like that. So
oh wow, that's interesting.
So that, I was going to do them, but then I was like, I know you're an episode 3 boy. I thought I'd bring along those to show off.
I appreciate that too, man. God damn. I think I would be so cool with either of those, but having the Anakin and the variant with the very subtle differences, I mean, that just makes it so much more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that they did that, because it's so cool to have that as a variant feature of it. Like I said, it's not much different. It's just the name and just then the eyes, but yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It makes it worthwhile to me. So, because then if I like laid them out from like, you know, Kid Anakin in episode 1 onwards, you get to see every different variation of Anakin into Vader through every film. So
yes.
Just to backtrack a little bit, Kenobi's Corner, while Solo is a great movie, well, we're all allowed to be wrong once in our life. It's absolutely fine.
Dude, I have such
for anyone watching, it's a long-standing joke between me and Brandon that, like, it's not that I hate the Solo film, I just nothing it. I prefer the animated Clone Wars movie over Solo, which everyone agrees is pretty much one of the trashiest like Star Wars films out of anything. I debate which I think is worse in terms of quality, the Solo movie or the holiday special. I'm not really sure where I land on that fence. I'm just trolling a little bit now. But to be fair, it's just the fact that it just doesn't appeal to me, the Solo film. There's nothing really much about it that I like in terms of like full on enjoyment as a Star Wars fan. There's bits here and there, yeah, but I'm not going to go into it now. But it's just the fact I make a lot of joking about the fact that I hate this movie. I don't really hate it. I just kind of nothing it. And so it's a long running thing for me and Brandon every time about Solo.
Did I ever tell you once when Lindsay, after she gave birth, we went back to the room, and it was kind of just like when we were off on our own, we were watching TV, and I remember Rogue One was on. I'm like, oh, this is so cool, watch some Rogue One, chill with the baby. And then Lindsay took a little nap, woke up, and it was my turn to just get a quick little nap in. And I remember when I woke up, she's like, so I was sitting here with the baby, and I had to watch Solo because that's what came on next. And the remote was on the other side of you. I couldn't put the baby down. So she feels the same way. She is not with Solo whatsoever. So she had to forcefully watch Solo because she couldn't do nothing about it. So we always, since he's been born, we've always joked about that.
Yeah, fair play, Lindsay. Well done. You got a good opinion there. Just a couple of comments from people talking about the figures. ITT saying beautiful figure. Unreal, bro. That's a good in from Cole. Yeah, gotta love those. Even that M1 Starfighter, mate, was absolutely beautiful. And then ITT's thrown up what he calls a nasty question, where he says, would you rather have an Acolyte Season 2 or a direct spin-off to The Last Jedi featuring only side characters? For me, this is a really, really easy answer. So I'll let you go first, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it is kind of nasty, but there's only one direction. And that's, for me, Acolyte Season 2. I got to see Chimera. I got to see Plagueis. I want to see how the Jedi unfold with Vernestra obviously hiding everything and telling Yoda. Does she actually tell him what happened? Does she cover it up? Does Yoda know about what's going on and he hides it, which then makes the Jedi pieces of shit? And I think I'm here for that. I would love to see that. But yeah, give me the Stranger. Love the helmet. Love the look. Manny Jacinto's a beast. Let's get it.
Yeah, same for me. I wanted to see an Acolyte Season 2. We talked about it long and hard on this show, I think a couple of times, where we said that no matter how well or badly received you think Season 1 was, you can't necessarily tell an entire narrative over just one season.
Correct.
Season 2 could have been some of the best stuff we'd ever seen in Star Wars in terms of what we were given, more Plagueis, other bits and pieces. Did the lights just go off in your fucking house or something? What?
accidentally tripped the power strip. Hey, Andy, you take all the guests with you. I'll be right back.
So yeah, I've talked about it before that a Season 2 narrative could have been so much better. We would have gotten more Plagueis. We would have been given a lot more backstory to what was going on. So I think that it's hard to judge a TV show based on one series. I think it's one of the rare times that Lucasfilm or Disney have sort of looked at something and buckled in a way, because with the MCU and Marvel and the TV series that they're doing, they might only do one season of something, but they'll address it and they'll be able to round up that story later on down the line.
Right.
Maybe not in a full way, but they can still do that. With the Star Wars timeline, it's almost a bit harder to do that because you're going to have to create something else now to finish off that story, or you just continue the story. So you're kind of shooting yourselves in the foot by stopping it so early. You give it a second season at least. If it's still not maybe well received after the second season, you write it to round off that story in a way that you don't need to continue it. Unfortunately, Acolyte was left with a lot of open questions, and you need a season 2 where once you've viewed it over 2 or 3 seasons, you can go, yep, overall, it might start off shaky, but it improves over time. And the narrative story as a whole becomes really, really good. I mean, how many people said season 1 of Clone Wars or season 1 of Rebels wasn't the best? It wasn't great, but those shows both got fucking amazing the more you got into it. Sometimes you need to give shit time to be able to develop. And I think Lucasfilm and Disney sort of shit themselves a bit and went, fuck, they gave in for the first time with this kind of thing. So I think personally, I would love to see a season 2 of Acolyte. A spin-off of The Last Jedi featuring side characters, depends what side characters you're going to give me, to be fair. I'm one of those people that I don't fall into the category that I absolutely hated The Last Jedi because it wasn't my Luke or anything that you want to say that it wasn't the Luke that we deserved or anything like that. I think there are still amazing points in this film. Take away the fact that we've said this about every sequel film, the cinematography and stuff like that, and how it looks is absolutely stunning. Each of the sequel films look that way because you would expect that with modern day technology, and they do look stunning in every bit. Whether the story suits you or not, or fits in with what you do, I'm just going to say the same thing that I've always said when it comes to this sort of thing. I don't get to decide what canon is. I don't get to decide which Luke Skywalker shows up, whether it's the Legends version or whether it's this version or whatever. I'm just here for the ride. I don't always have to like every single little bit of it. I don't have to enjoy every bit of it, but I don't get to decide that this isn't my Luke Skywalker and throw a huffy, hissy fit about it. Yeah. So there are plenty of bits of The Last Jedi that are there to like, and it deepens more of the lore of the Force as well. And Luke pulls off one of the greatest bits of Force ability ever. So
I know it's like how do we get so mad that we're ignoring that awesome stunt he pulled? Like that is legendary, and of course, you know. We really get that faction to see that Kylo Ren is indeed down the Skywalker bloodline because he's a whiny young guy. And just the fact that he couldn't, you know, get through to Luke, which he thought was right there in front of him, it just solidified that Skywalker bloodline. There's so many good things, but I'm cool with that. If you can give me a good valid reason of why you don't like it, I mean, cool. I mean, that's the whole point. But yeah, there's really good things in it.
I think as well, whilst I would pick Acolyte season 2 over a spin-off to The Last Jedi, you've got to tell me what side characters, to be fair. Because you need to know which side character or what counts as a side character anyway. Is Chewie technically a side character? Because he's part of the main crew, but he's not also a main character in any sort of real way. He's not really given any narrative. His character's never really developed. He's just there. Is a Porg a side character? You want to see a bit more of the porgs?
Hell yeah!
I want to know what roasted porg tastes like.
Or the what is that species that has the green titty milk? Like, what does that taste like?
Oh yeah,
that and some porg. That sounds like a meal to me.
I mean, although that is one of the strangest yet both unnecessarily intimidating bits of that film is that when he's getting the milk from there, and then the beast looks at Rey, who looks away, and then Luke just aggressively drinks a bit of milk, and he's like, and it just dribbles down his fucking beard. Like that was like, it was like looking at someone who's wanking, and then they're just giving you eye contact at the same time. That's what it felt like.
You get that secondhand embarrassment. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh dearie me. Okay. Let's chat about Andor season 2. We got a trailer dropped recently, 22nd of April. It's dropping with basically, it's only going to go over 4 weeks. We're getting 3 episodes every single week, and there's going to be a time jump between each week.
Yes,
that's leading us right up to. I think they said it takes us up to 15 minutes before we meet Cassian Andor in Rogue One.
Love it.
So we finally got the trailer dropped. It was basically like an homage to Rogue One in a way, because it was like every returning character from Rogue One. Here's a snip of him in Andor season 2. So Saw Gerrera, Orson Krennic, K2SO, including some of the soldiers I think we saw from Rogue One as well. the action in this trailer was great. The music was fucking ass. I don't know why we got a rock soundtrack to this. This was not a Star Wars soundtrack for me in whatsoever. That was the only thing that ruined it for me. I'm not a rock person either. Anyone who knows me, I'm like a hip hop R&B dance person. I'm not a rock person. That's my other half. So I didn't really enjoy the music to this trailer, but the action in the trailer was good. What are you saying about the trailer?
Yeah, I think of course the music was the first thing I noticed, and I was just like, okay, it's different. All right, let's what are the visuals here? What are the plot points they're addressing? Man, I can't wait to see what kind of TIE Defender variant, whatever Cassian's driving, man. That thing looked so badass. And I was just talking with Commander Broski, who will be on the next episode of the podcast. He was telling me that he's seen some figures that will be released of Cassian Andor in a TIE fighter outfit alongside of the TIE vehicle that we're gonna get. And I love how they only showed just a little bit of the wing. That way it's like not.
I think, was it not the TIE Defender Advanced?
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking too, because the wing had like 2 layers to it. So that's what makes me think it's the advanced. That's gonna be so cool. And plus, like the wheat field, I know a lot of people thought that was like Lothal. I don't know. But I think it would be super, super cool. Overall, so I'm not going off topic. Overall, the trailer I thought was really good. I think it was meant. I think the music, of course, is it's just, I mean, kind of makes it different in a way, but I love what we see. But if I'm to throw a rumor or a theory out there, I think seeing I've watched a couple YouTube videos. If we were to see the Rebel Ghost crew, I think that would be kind of cool in live action. Get Freddie Prinze Jr. To come back as Kanan, seeing Ezra again, Iman Estefandi, seeing Hera. I think, Chopper, why would you not want to see him? And plus, I feel like this would be a way to tie in the Mandoverse just a little bit. It's not a direct tie, but it just shows them before and why people want live action Clone Wars. We got live action Clone Wars in Ahsoka, so why don't we get some live action Rebels? I think that'd be kind of cool. Just a little cameo, like a legit cameo, would be cool to see.
Yeah, because we know that the Ghost was at the Battle of Scarif in Rogue One. We see it there, so it would be cool to kind of just have a little bit more of a tie in there, especially because we saw when it's been a while since I've chatted Star Wars, to be fair, because I've been in a Marvel bubble for the last couple of months. But Yavin 4, that's what I was thinking of. I was going off on a tangent because I couldn't remember the name of something, and I was just like, sometimes the names of shit escape me. But obviously, we saw a glimpse of Yavin 4, where we know that we saw in obviously Rogue One that we saw the Ghost and Chopper parked up there as well. So yeah, it'd be nice to see a little tie in there. What are you thinking to the schedule? I'm a little bit disappointed we're only seeing it over 4 weeks, because obviously season 1, it was an episode a week. It was like 2.5, 3 months. They did it over essentially an episode a week. And we've all said season 1 was a slow burner, but it built up really good, where the second half of the season, the anticipation waiting for the next episode every week was really good.
Yeah.
To have this over and done with in 4 weeks when it's 12 episodes feels like a bit of a disappointment. I
think it's a risk, and I love seeing Disney taking risks right now. With Skeleton Crew, I think a 3 episode per week drop would have been awesome. We obviously talked about the Skeleton Crew and kind of how there's a few weeks where it was just really boring and there really wasn't too much to cover. I think season 1 was a slow burn. I did stay up every single night or Tuesday night till 2 a.m. just to watch. And there were sometimes I was like, God damn it, I should have just stayed asleep. Not because the story was bad, but it was just because there wasn't too much going on, and it was building more on Andor's character, which I get. It's great storytelling. And just like earlier, we were talking about how, we understand that Revenge of the Sith is the best, but there's other movies that are better. And it's just kind of like a fact. I think Andor is the best live action series that Disney has to offer with Star Wars, but it's not my favorite. I think Mando's Mandalorian is up there. as a favorite for sure. Book of Boba Fett, there's something about that damn series. I think it's just because Boba Fett's one of my favorite. That just it's top tier for me. But I think this second season is really going to do well with that risk, because what's going to happen is it seems like each week we're watching an Andor movie. So in my sense, I think it's 4 Andor movies to complete this second season. And I think this reduces the chance of filler more so, giving it this kind of block schedule release. So I'm here for it.
Essentially what Cole's saying, he thinks Andor Season 2 is going to change the game. It's going to get everyone buzzing. It's essentially 4 movies.
Yes.
Which, because they're just dropping it. They may as well have done that rather than doing it as 3 episodes every week. You just release it and go, this is essentially 1 year every year until we meet at Rogue One.
I think that's why too, because I think that's the easier way, instead of the like back lore of us fans being like, oh, okay, so episode 1, 2, and 3, the first 3 weeks when it dropped, that was 1 year. So now the second half, that I think that's kind of another reason why they did that.
Yeah, I understand them keeping it to saying, it's episodes, but you could have just done it as like one unbroken episode and gone, technically there are 4 episodes, they're an hour and a half each.
Literally.
Or the last one's 2 hours. And it's going to cover a year each time. So yeah. I think the only thing as a podcaster it will be annoyed at is that obviously I plan months in advance.
Yeah.
So I put this in my schedule that, okay, it's probably going to be a double episode drop on the first week. There may be a double episode drop maybe halfway through or towards the end. But essentially this is going to take up like 10 weeks, 9 weeks maybe of my podcasting schedule. And so I planned for this to run essentially from April until maybe the end of June. And now it's going to be done. It's going to be done by halfway through May. So I'm just like, okay, I've got like 6 weeks of empty schedule now that I'm going to have to plan. So Brandon, be prepared to come on and chat some more Star Wars during that time.
Yep, that's what I'm here for. I think. Yeah, that was something I was gonna ask you too, because I remember when we were chatting with Lee, you were just like, God damn it, I had this all made, damn it. But yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it did make me laugh. I was like, okay, so I'll go back and redo my entire schedule now. Make sure I haven't invited too many guests on, because otherwise I'm going to have to cut that down and then start cutting people off and going, sorry, I can't really have 7 people on every week to discuss, because it's messed up everything now. But it did make me laugh a little bit. That was just the side of it from us podcasters. But by the way, if anyone is still hanging around in the watching, throw any questions you got, anything Star Wars related that either you want to hear our opinions on, you want to know about, if you want to see who we think would, if you put 2 characters against each other, who would win, just throw any questions in the comments. Feel free to do so. But
yes,
we've got obviously Mandu Grogu that comes out next year. Is next year, yeah. Then after that, we get Ahsoka Season 2. There's been some wild rumors going around recently about people who are going to be appearing in Ahsoka Season 2. We already knew that Anakin Skywalker is going to be returning. Obviously, there's been a lot throwing around that both Padme Amidala and Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to be appearing, presumably in flashbacks as well.
Yep.
What would you feel? Is that a good move by them to bring those 2? Because is it essentially going to be like Clone Wars flashbacks in the middle of it? Or is it taking away from what should be the Ahsoka Thrawn story?
Well, here's my thing. I think if it's done well, I'm all for it. I feel like sometimes in Ahsoka, finally getting Hayden once again on top of what we saw him with Kenobi playing Anakin and Vader, those were really cool, and I feel like they sprinkled him in, like when they were on Mapuzo and they were walking on the trail, and Kenobi started hallucinating and seeing Anakin in the Revenge of the Sith robes. That was really cool. And it wasn't too much. And when Reva would talk, like Anakin's alive, and it's like, oh my God, she's talking about, the chosen one. We know who that is. I feel like in Ahsoka, Dave was able to do the same thing where it sprinkles, but it made sense. Ahsoka getting defeated by Balin and going to the world between worlds. She's able to get kind of that second chance. And that is so cool to know, like, this is the transition from Ahsoka the Gray to Ahsoka the White, that she went through these trials and had to relive moments in her past on top of, fighting Anakin. This basically transformed her character. I'm so down for this. And I think that's what Dave wants. He has this road where he is showing off a character that he created, and he's just having fun with it at this point. I think it's going to be cool to get in some more Anakin, but I mean, at the same time, I don't think they can really mess up with Ewan and Natalie coming back, only because, I mean, if you watch the Clone Wars, they were super crucial to Ahsoka's upbringing. Obi-Wan and Padme, they're really, really cool. And actually, just recently, I've been rewatching Clone Wars, and the last episode I left off on was when the little virus breaks out and Padme and Ahsoka get contaminated. That was
the blue shadow virus.
Yeah, that is such an interesting little arc there, and I hate that doctor. He pisses me off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's cool. Sign me up. I just feel like they can't really mess it up in a sense. So I mean, I'm all for it. I love Obi-Wan. It's my favorite Jedi. So bring it on.
It's a hard one because I want to see live action Clone Wars stuff, even if it's in flashbacks. I know there's been a heavy rumor as well going around that they are thinking about doing a live action Clone Wars show that would see the likes of Anakin, Kenobi, Rex, and Ahsoka return. You'd have to imagine that obviously Ariana Greenblatt would come back to play young Ahsoka, or obviously Ewan and Hayden coming back to play their respective roles, and Tamora Morrison coming back to do Rex, and that's already a rumor for season 2 of Ahsoka anyway.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure I want it in flashbacks of season 2 of Ahsoka. Doing the Anakin stuff is great. It worked well in season 1. Obviously, we've already been told he's going to have a bigger role in season 2. Whether they delve into the Mortis side of things or however that's going to go, I'm excited. But when you start throwing more into it, like having maybe Clone Wars flashbacks with Kenobi thrown in, which maybe makes sense because he was there for a lot of the stuff with Anakin and Ahsoka as well. But then you start throwing Padme in as well, and I'm like, I'm not sure if that works for me, because I don't want them to lose sight of the fact that this is Ahsoka season 2. I don't want them to think about this becoming like an Anakin revival.
Yeah.
And therefore losing a bit of sight and it not be meaningful. I think season 1 was meaningful enough and impactful enough that it was worth it. And then you start tampering with it when you start including it more. So I'm already wary enough that if they said Anakin's got a bigger role, that the fact that it's going to be in a Force Ghost World Between Worlds capacity, it's treading on dangerous ground for me as it is. So I'm not sure if you want to make a Clone Wars show where you're doing live action and you're just doing bits of story to help fill in gaps, I think that's absolutely fine. I would love that. But yeah, I'm not sure I want that in a season 2 of Ahsoka, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's something that scares me because as Anakin Vader, my favorite character, I just don't want that tarnished and it to then become losing a bit of meaning, especially with Hayden Christensen's return after so long away from the franchise. The aura that was around that for the Kenobi show and for Ahsoka, and then it starts losing meaning because you start doing more shows and start throwing him in more and more. So
I can get down with that.
It's just how I felt about it anyway. But
what do you think of Anakin, doing the typical Force ghost that we get in Star Wars, where Ben Kenobi talks to Luke and you just hear his voice? Qui-Gon a couple times. What do we think of Ahsoka going through things in season 2 and we just hear a trickle of Anakin speaking to her through the Force? I think that'd be cool. That'd be very Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't mind that, to be fair. As it's just one of those things, isn't it? The whole Force Ghost thing is hard enough because it's like, how much interference can you have from a Force Ghost? Because they all just kind of know it all, because they're part of the cosmic force that know past, present, future. They kind of know everything.
Yeah,
but they're not there to interfere so much, and they're just trying to guide people through it. at the same point, you can say if he's going to stand there and whisper bits to her, why doesn't he just appear as a Force ghost and just tell her everything anyway, and tell her what she needs to do to win? And it kind of, that's where the danger is for me, is that you can start making that argument then of like, why didn't he just interfere more?
Yeah, true.
And so if it's like about the fact that because they're part of the cosmic force, they kind of know the bigger picture, and the fact that someone has to kind of get there by themselves, or they have to go through a journey to get to a certain point where the force can be tipped a certain way, or anything like that, then whispering bits in the background, I think, is fine. I don't see an issue with that, and it kind of makes it cooler rather than having him appear all the time every time she goes through a major thing.
Yeah,
and she disappears into the world between worlds for half an episode and just has a chat with him, and he's like trying to teach her a lesson again in cryptic ways. The impact that had in season 1 was fantastic, and
yes,
it was needed to bring her back as like Ahsoka the White, as they've been calling her, in Lord of the Rings terms. So, yeah, I just don't want them to overplay the Force Ghost or the Anakin card in season 2, and therefore for me it just lose a bit of impact. But
yeah, no, I get that.
Calder says, "Man, I just fall asleep to the Clone Wars any episode, anytime. Give me it." It's got to have it on in the background. There's a lot to get through, to be fair.
Yeah.
And he also asked, is this going to be on every week, same time? Enjoying this for real. I really appreciate you saying that, buddy. This isn't an every week thing that we do, to be fair. Me and Brandon do appear a lot on each other's shows. Brandon's obviously got his own podcast, The Conversation, that he does, and he's just launched his After Dark series because we're both new daddies and we're up late at night, so he's got a bit of time up late at night to do stuff. He had a great launch of that first episode the other day. And obviously I chat about a lot of stuff, not just Star Wars. I cover Marvel, DC, sort of nerdy and geeky stuff that I really like, but obviously Star Wars is my biggest love, so I do tend to love chatting about it. But you can catch us together quite often, to be fair.
Yeah, you've kind of discovered the live streaming, and you like it more than what you thought. So yeah, guys, I mean, we'll definitely be popping back and forth. So definitely just, hey, the best thing really is just to subscribe or follow us on Instagram. That way you can see, because every time we post, I mean, we're always on the Instagram stories posting like, hey, we'll be going live together, and we always at each other. So I mean, that's really the best way to see when we go live, and it has been more often. I mean, we did the Skeleton Crew review, we were live every week, and that went really well. So I mean, don't be surprised if you see us together for any future projects. So.
And to be fair, I it's been a while since I've like maybe set up an episode and just done it without a real, because I think I cover a lot of obviously TV series and films and stuff that come out, so I'm reviewing a lot of stuff as it's coming out. I don't often get an opportunity to just sit and have a chat about general Star Wars or something like that. So something I've really enjoyed doing. I try and have other episodes that aren't just reviewing stuff. Like you came in and did the I'm going systematically through all of Star Wars and reviewing and doing reviews of each thing. So like you came on and did the prequel films with me. Joey from Krypton Alderaan has been doing the animated shows. So at some point, I think Rebels is next on my list. If I ever get the fucking Solo one done, because that technically is next on my list. And then after that, well, I suppose I've been waiting a little bit because we've got season 2 of Andor coming out.
Yep.
And so that should technically be next on the list after Solo, before I kind of hit Rebels. Rebels, Rogue One, I guess it all kind of fits into the same category, same time bit, isn't it? So it doesn't really matter what order I guess it doesn't matter what order I do it, I suppose. But at the end of the day, we're Star Wars nerds. We love to come and chat. So this is why I thought it'd be good to set up an episode where we could just shoot the breeze. There's no set thing to talk about, although we obviously have had subjects that we wanted to cover, and just sit here and have a general chat about Star Wars. So we're probably going to be rounding it off in the next sort of like maybe 10, 15 minutes. So if there are any questions anyone wants to throw in, get them in now, or any opinions you want to hear, just let us know. Because I know that it's about 20 to midnight my time, and knowing my luck, the little one I want feeding sometime the next couple of hours. I'm a stay-at-home daddy now, so I have to take that responsibility and let my poor wife sleep.
Yes.
And it's obviously Sunday, so getting towards Sunday early evening for you, isn't it, as well? I guess so. Let's just throw a couple of things out there then. So, who do you think would win in a battle between Prime Boba Fett and Prime Mandalorian Din Djarin?
Man, it's prime boba, I think, man. It's
I don't know why I bothered asking you that, because I knew what you were going to say.
I love Din Djarin too. But how many times has he just gotten his ass kicked in those first 3 seasons? Even the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, this dude he is such a cunning warrior. You know, he gets those traits. I mean, that's how Anakin was described, and I think that's a good way to put Din Djarin. He's cunning, and he'll put his life on the line. He's ready to die in almost every moment that he gets into. But I mean, I just feel like Boba Fett he's as dope as they come. He's an awesome character. He's I mean, he's known to kick ass. He's not scared of anything. And even young Boba, for instance, in the Clone Wars, getting those couple episodes where he's running with Asajj Ventress, like he's like 13, 14, and he's scared of nothing, like absolutely nothing. So yeah, give me Boba Fett.
Let me try and give you a harder one then, just because that I don't know what. As soon as I said that, I was like, I know this is going to be too easy for him. So, a prime Boba Fett or a prime Pre Vizsla?
Damn, that's a good one.
And Vizsla's got the dark saber.
Vizsla has the dark saber. Okay, you know, in my head, I'm like, wait, he's already had his ass kicked with the dark saber, but that was also a Maul.
Yeah.
Man. See, I feel like I'd want Boba to win, but I feel like this really comes down to I really feel like it comes down to if Boba Fett can disarm Pre Vizsla of the darksaber, then it's wraps. I think Boba Fett wins. But if he can't get the darksaber out of Pre Vizsla's hands, then I think Pre Vizsla takes it. So it's really going to come down to that. What do you think?
I would probably lean towards Pre Vizsla.
Yeah,
winning that fight.
It's tough. It's really tough.
I think he's probably got a little bit more experience as well, even if you took Prime Boba. The combination of fighting that we see from Vizsla against Maul in terms of combining using the Mandalorian jetpack, the armory, and the dark saber would give him that advantage for sure.
Yes.
Carl, have we seen Boba go up against the saber? I don't believe we have actually. The only time we have actually maybe episode 6, very briefly on Jabba's barge, the sail barge, against Luke before he gets hit in the back and sent into the pit.
That is some of the funniest things. Right when he pulls up his blaster, it just gets chopped right off. It's like, oh, all right, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah, because he obviously fires at Luke, who deflects it. He shoots the cable around him, and he obviously cuts it off. And then he just gets his gun cut off straight away, didn't he? So yeah, it didn't seem like he lasted very long against the lightsaber, to be fair. So yeah. Okay, then let's throw another one at you because I've been thinking about this. So, an episode 7 Poe Dameron in an X-wing versus an episode 5 Luke Skywalker in an X-wing.
You know, I think sometimes. I mean, looks aren't everything, but goddamn, Poe Dameron's Black One, the black and orange X-wing, god damn, that is the most beautiful. Besides the Slave One, that's my second favorite ship. I think it is so beautiful. I'm also biased because of the color orange. But I will say, who am I going to be more scared of? Man, you know, I feel like Poe is really fuck, man. I don't know. Because I mean, you're getting Red 5 Luke, correct? Yeah. And then you're getting Poe Dameron, which Poe Dameron, you know, is responsible for blowing up an entire dreadnought. But then you look at Prime Luke and blowing up Death Stars. Yeah, wait, it's Luke.
I think Cole agrees with you there.
Yeah.
Even Commander J saying
yes,
this is non-force user, but at this, like I said, I did say episodes 5 Luke, but even then, like if you said pre-training with Yoda Luke, where he's feels a little bit of the force but isn't really there yet in terms of force ability, or even like, you know, Cloud City Luke, who's had a bit more training but still isn't quite there. Plus, we have to remember that Poe Dameron is ever so slightly force sensitive because he grew up on Yavin 4 next to the force tree that imbues like force ability or enhances people's force sensitivity. So did you know about this? So back in the Jedi Temple, there was a Force tree that grew. That if you're next to it, it can enhance your over the long term your sensitivity with the Force. And after Episode 6, Luke Skywalker it was destroyed or something, and Luke Skywalker and Poe Dameron's mum took branches from it, and Poe's mum took it to Yavin 4, I think, and grew into a tree. And Poe grew up playing on this tree. And so there's a theory that the reason he's such a good pilot is because his Force sensitivity was enhanced by the Force tree. And Luke took one off the other branch somewhere else and grew up another tree somewhere else.
Interesting. So where does this from?
It's from I think it's from a comic. It's from one of the canon comics.
Fucking A, dude.
So I always had this theory that the reason that Poe was such a good pilot is because he's potentially a bit more Force sensitive because he grew up playing on this tree that's naturally imbued with the Force.
Yeah.
And therefore it just slightly enhanced his ability. So come on, Jay, asking, does it still enhance outside of the play? I believe so, because it's one of those things that if you're exposed to it for over a long period of time, it just naturally enhances maybe your midichlorians or your ability to perceive the Force or just your natural reactions to it. So that's why I believed he was such a good pilot because of that. So if I took pre-training Luke in Episode 5 versus Prime Episode 7 Poe, I think Poe still gives him a damn good run for his money, possibly even wins it.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that's actually a good point though that Commander J had was the Force user versus non-Force user. And but yeah, I didn't know about that. So I mean that definitely plays in the factor. Yeah, I can't have a stream with you where I don't learn something.
I am here to enhance your experience as well, buddy, not just the viewer. All right then. So here's, I think, a good one for you. Rebels Chopper versus Episode 3 R2-D2.
Give me R2-D2. That's my astromech. I think Chopper's cool, but I haven't been able to grow with him. It's always been R2-D2. I think he is one of the most underrated Star Wars character in all of Star Wars, R2-D2. But I think Chopper, of course, he's got a lot of blood on his droid parts. So if it was to be an all-out battle, I think the smarts of R2 would help him win. I feel like he would be here we go. R2 versus Chopper would be Obi-Wan versus Anakin in a sense. Obi-Wan being R2, Chopper being Anakin. Of course, Obi-Wan wins every single time. I think it would come to defense and smarts, and R2-D2 would win.
You know what? Fair play. I'll give you that one. I was just thinking just the fact that how Chopper loves being so sadistic, he would just go hell for loose on R2 and maybe overpower him a little bit. But yeah, I think R2's got the smarts, he's got the capabilities, and he's got the defense capabilities as well as the offensive capabilities. So yeah, fair play. I'll give you that one. Maybe R2 smarts get him that win.
I have two for you. One of them is going to be a head-to-head, and one of them is a question back to Andor. Do you think we will see Vader in Andor season 2?
No, and I hope we don't. I don't want to see him because the whole point of the show is that it's been away from that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And even Rogue One, we were getting the clip of him. We never knew we were getting the hallway scene, but we knew Vader was going to be in it just for a scene, and it was worthy of it. And it was necessary for Krennic to go and see him in a way because he had to go above Tarkin, so that was worth it. But I don't think there's any need to have Vader in this. There's because he's at this stage, he's the Emperor's enforcer. He's got no reason to be part of this. So, I think there's more chance of seeing Tarkin than there is
Tarkin
Vader.
Dope.
I think they go back to doing the CGI Tarkin like we got in Rogue One.
Even with the lawsuit that's going on.
Maybe not if that does play a part in it, maybe in their thinking, but I think there would be more chance and it would be more suitable to see Tarkin than Vader.
That'd be so cool.
I'm never going to deny wanting to see Vader because obviously my favorite character. I want to see him light up a saber and intimidate some people. Maybe he shows up to a part of the Death Star being built or something, and he's just like, "This is taking too long. Sort yourselves out, or I'm going to kill you."
That would be cool.
better words.
Even a
So
holocron, like a holocom, that would be really cool. I think maybe
I don't want to see that, to be honest. That would ruin it for me. I want to see him in the flesh or not at all. Don't give me a hollow of Vader chatting to Krennic or something like that about the situation, like the rebels are causing problems.
yeah. I feel see for me, I would be okay with a little hologram puck, just a little like here's Vader, and I mean no more than obviously a couple sentences. I wouldn't want it to be a whole dialogue, but that would be something that I'd be okay with.
Hmm. I'm not sure I'm down for that, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I
But
would rather.
I don't think he's gonna be in it. I really don't.
Yeah. Cole's saying no Vader for me, but I reckon a few Palpatine mentions for sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Emperor does get mentioned in that one. So, what's the head to head you had?
Okay, so this is going to be Prime Count Dooku versus Prime Mace Windu. Who wins that battle?
Ooh, that is an interesting one. I wasn't sure who you were going to put up against
In
Dooku
my
then.
head, I feel like they're so even to a sense, but truly, I feel like I need a lifeline, which could be you to help sway my decision here.
It's an interesting one because I think we're kind of obviously led to believe in episode 2. We're supposed to believe anyway that Dooku is one of the most talented lightsaber fighters that the Jedi Order had, and so obviously, and it's always been said in lots of literature, I think, off screen that that's the case. However, his on-screen fights don't necessarily portray that. I think the Clone Wars fleshes it out a bit more in terms of, yeah, he seems to always outsmart Anakin and Kenobi whenever he's come up against them or anyone else. In terms of lightsaber fighting. But for some reason, I've just never been convinced that he's as good as we've been told he is. I don't know why. And then if you want to have the debate about Mace Windu, did he actually beat Palpatine or did Palpatine let him win because he sensed Anakin coming up? I'm not going to get into that right now. But Mace Windu held his own against Palpatine when 3 of the Jedi got done in seconds. And therefore that puts him on a rare high level that I don't think over time Dooku can keep up with. I think Windu's ability to, because he also has the Force ability called Shatterpoint, which allows him to see through the Force cracks in people's abilities and armor and stuff like that, and to points that he can then attack that would weaken them. So combine that with his Vapad abilities and the fact that he could go toe to toe longer with Palpatine than we've seen anyone else. Even if you take Yoda and Palpatine's battle, their lightsaber, they moved on to a battle with Force abilities pretty quickly after a lightsaber fight. So, the fact that Palpatine is generally considered to be, because Palpatine hated lightsaber battle. He's hated fighting with lightsabers. He thought it was beneath him.
Yes.
He wanted to use Force ability more than lightsabers. But the fact that he's still considered one of the best lightsaber duelists of the Sith of all time, it tells its own story. And the fact that Windu goes toe to toe with that for as long as he did, and potentially, depending on which side of the fence you fall on, did technically beat him. So therefore, you put that Windu's ability together with his Force Shatterpoint ability, I think he eventually would beat Dooku.
Yeah, I even before I had an idea that it's Mace. I feel like Mace wins this because I mean Dooku's a very strong fighter. We've seen that. We see that Tales of the Jedi. I feel like he is also I feel like he is a perfectly balanced emotional person. And Mace is all, especially in Attack of the Clones, he mentions that he is not a murderer, he is an idealist. I feel like Count Dooku can back it up always with physically with his talents with the lightsaber, of course, that he always enhances and talks about. But I feel like he's kind of more bark no bite to a sense. I mean, Mace is obviously Mace Windu, and that the Vapad, of course, is such a cool thing for in people watching. If you don't really know too much about Mace Windu and Vapad, read a little bit, even just simply on Wikipedia, and it goes so deep in the detail to this side of Mace Windu that he can tap into with the Force, and he basically kind of plays both sides, which is really, really cool. So yeah, I love that. Give me Mace. Give me Mace.
Just about edges it, to be fair. I'm going to throw one more at you because I've sort of been giving you good guys really for the most part in terms of 1 versus 1. So final one, Darth Maul, episode 1 Darth Maul versus an episode 8 Kylo Ren.
Ooh, that's a good one. Wow. It's like, I love Kylo Ren and just think he's so cool. And then same with Maul. Fuck, man, that's a really good one. And I feel like most people would be like, "Oh, it's Maul all day. It's Maul all day." You got to think though. I think Darth Maul wins. I don't think it. It's close. It's really close. I think both. I mean, defeated meaning unaliving. I think Maul walks away, but I think he is limping, or he's cut in half again. I think Maul wins that one. It would be a really, really good fight. I feel like seeing Kylo Ren's lightsaber with the exhaust ports going up against the double blade would be fucking amazing. I mean, if we were to get Dark Rey and she was obviously Darth or on the dark side, I think that would be really cool to see her double blade versus Kylo Ren if they did have a fight. I think there's so many new choreography skills and lightsaber dueling aspects could be shaped up to something that we've never seen before with both of the uniqueness. Man, that would be so cool. But yeah, it's Maul. I think it's Maul, man.
Interesting. I maybe would have pegged just again by a hair's width Kylo.
Okay.
I think they're both obviously young, angry men who have trouble tempering their temperaments.
Yep.
You can maybe say Maul's got the better fighting style and ability in terms of his acrobatics, his speed. But I think Kylo has the better, more in tuned Force abilities to use alongside his pure savagery with the lightsaber. So I think it's a tough one, and I don't think we ever really saw Kylo Ren at his absolute best in any lightsaber fight in the in the sequels, especially going up against like another Force user with a lightsaber, for example, because he toyed with Finn in episode 7. Okay, like he was absolutely, because obviously he toyed with him for a while, and when Finn got that strike on his shoulder, he then just ripped him apart in 2 moves.
Oh yeah,
and fucking did his back in big time. The whole thing with Rey after that was a tough one for him because he's obviously got shot in the fucking gut with a bowcaster,
yeah,
and stuff like that. And so he is obviously injured going at it, and he was trying to focus on turning her maybe rather than actually like full on fighting to the death, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
And again, we don't really see much beyond that. So it's hard to say really because we haven't really ever seen Kylo Ren at his peak, whereas we've seen almost every other like Sith or anything like that with a lightsaber at their peak.
Yeah.
Or any significant Jedi at their peak. So, but something tells me that I think the savagery of a pissed off Kylo Ren would probably maybe just outtake sort of Maul's acrobatics.
Yeah.
And I think he's had the better training with Force abilities than maybe Maul has, because Maul was taught to be more of an assassin than a proper Force user, so to speak. Obviously, Maul changes after time anyway, but we realize he is a lot smarter than we thought he was. But I think at that time he'd been more trained to be an assassin by Palpatine than anything else, and Kylo Ren had been trained a different way. I think that just gives him the edge for me.
Yeah,
about saying it is a very good toss up. We could go either way, and we've gone either way, both of us. So, Will of the Force, nice to see you, buddy. Thank you for
what's up, man.
Mace Windu would be Dooku if he didn't get asked to join the Council. Dude's power trip directly leads to the fall of the galaxy. Interesting.
It's a good take.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on that?
Fuck, I mean, flip those characters right there. I think that's a very interesting character dynamic. Who was Mace Windu's apprentice? Wasn't it Depa Balaba?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Kanan Jarrus's master?
Yeah, possibly. I'm actually going to Google that quickly.
Cool. Because what I'd like to think here is obviously Dooku, we see in Tales of the Jedi, he learns of Qui-Gon's death.
Yeah, it was Depa Balaba. Yeah.
Cool. I think I'm flipping these characters to maybe Depa Balaba passes away earlier, and this is what kind of shifts Mace Windu into falling to the dark side and doing those things. I think that would be fucking awesome. I feel like that would be kind of more of the kind of like a Revan route, you know, using the dark side as well as having the purple lightsaber as well. Be kind of a cool you know, it's poetry, it rhymes. I feel like that'd be a cool thing, but yeah, I could get down with that too.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think it's a fair take. I was going to say interesting take. It's just a fair take. I don't think there's too much wrong with that comment, to be fair. So
yeah.
Anything else you want to chat about, mate? Just as we're rounding off the show today,
man. No, I don't. I think we hit a lot of spots, man. I think if you guys haven't already, make sure you go subscribe to both of us, of course, but the Galactic Core podcast, you know, not only just Star Wars, he ventures off into the Marvel galaxy of cinema, of series. And I mean, I think that's really cool is you got all of the different fandoms that you can pull together. I'm very one-sided, and it's like, if it's Star Wars, it's nothing. But I feel like if you have two of the biggest franchises on your channel, I feel like you can hit different groups, and it can bring a lot of people together. So yeah, guys, make sure you go subscribe, follow, and check out the merch store. He just dropped a new one just within the last month. So make sure you go get you some Galactic Core podcast merch. This is going to be this is the collab of the century. I always tell everyone this is always I always learn something with this man, and it's always just a good time. So thank you guys for chiming in today. But I mean, other than that, man, I really don't have too much more. I think we had a really good time.
We're closing in on 2 hours, and I don't want to take up much of your day because it's I know you like having a chilled Sunday, and it's probably my bedtime. I'm an old man. I need to get some sleep in. To be fair, because there is a bit of a time difference between us. I've loved this episode. This has genuinely been one of my favorite podcast episodes that I've done. I think this is number 67, something like that for me. Podcast episode 68, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I think this is generally one of my top ones, to be fair, mate, in terms of I have absolutely loved just sitting back and shooting the breeze about Star Wars and random stuff. And JT Lovecraft going, I just missed it. No. You can always watch the replay, buddy. I know you won't be able to throw any questions at us, but you can always chip in and watch the replay on either of our channels, to be fair, because we've gone live on both sides.
Absolutely.
And obviously catch it. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. It's been an absolute pleasure to sit here for the last couple of hours and just chat Star Wars with you.
Yeah.
Whether I cover Marvel, DC, anything else, that's what I do cover, but Star Wars is always my number one. It always has been. I've been stuck in a Marvel bubble. I think this is why I wanted to do I said to you, I wanted to do a Star Wars episode because I'm about to jump into Daredevil for the next 7-8 weeks after next week, and I'm going to be lost with that for a while. So I wanted to chat some Star Wars because I haven't really been doing Star Wars much recently. So
yeah.
Lots of Daredevil coming up, as I said, for the next sort of 7-8 weeks. We do jump into Andor after that. In about 5 weeks' time, Saturday the 12th of April, please do come and join us because it is my 2nd anniversary episode. There will be plenty of guests. We did this last year for my anniversary episode where myself, Brandon, Clan Brandalorian, the Why So Sidious podcast, Lee from Light Camera Ran, and my boy Michael from Stark Wars came on. Unfortunately, I think he stopped his podcast now, so he won't be joining us this year. But it's going to be all of us again. So it's going to be me, Clan Brandalorian, the 3 boys from Why So Sidious, Lee from Light Camera Ran, and Joey from Krypton to Alderaan will be joining us as well. So Saturday the 12th of April, make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be a big episode. We're just going to have lots of fun. There's going to be quizzes. everyone going up against each other. It's last year, fucking Brandon destroyed Caleb from Why So Serious in the Star Wars quiz.
I felt
so there's going to be lots of like top films, top moments, stuff like that. So make sure everyone tunes in for that. Make sure you tune into Brandon's new little show After Dark. I really wanted to catch that first episode. I have watched the replay, but I really wanted to catch the first episode, but it was 5:30 in the morning for me. I'd been up about an hour before that feeding my kid, and I was just thinking, in about 15 minutes, the show's going to be on it, and then I fell asleep. It was first thing all good. So I'm hoping to be able to catch that. It looks like it's going to be a really good little series going forward. Make sure you're tuning in for that. I'll be back next week with Daredevil. I've got Joey from Krypton to Order actually coming on next week. He's going to be doing Daredevil with me to catch the first 2 episodes of that. But stay tuned to us. Make sure you just liked, subscribed across all of our social media, and obviously catching this episode that goes out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everywhere else. But until next time, everyone, as always,
the Force will be with you, always.
Thanks for tuning in to the Galactic Core Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. But until next time, go get your geek on.